2 days ago, I took on the challenge of building my web agency website. I devoted all my time and worked from morning to evening, and now I'm happy to say it's finally done. Throughout this project, I faced many obstacles, which I'm very glad of, as I can now share with you what I learned. Before I started the project, I already knew I wanted the site to be completely static and to have a headless CMS. This is because static sites are very cheap to host and they load very quickly. I started building it with Gatsby, which turned out to be my first mistake. I found Gatsby to be overly complex. Even fetching data was super weird. And setting up all the boilerplate code took so much time, and I quickly gave up and moved to use Next.js instead. I had built my biggest side project using Next, so I felt very comfortable using it. And of course, I was using it with TypeScript. You would be crazy not to use TypeScript nowadays. Now, when using my headless CMS, I had a lot more difficulty. If you have ever done any research, you know there's a ton of options out there. This is both good and bad. The good is that the companies are competing with each other by providing more features at better prices. But the bad side is, because there's so many options, it's difficult to choose one. In the end, I chose Prismic as my CMS. Their free tier is very generous, so you don't have to pay anything to get started. I can't say much about Prismic yet, I need to use it more before I can give a full review, but so far I really liked it. It's simplistic and it provides all the features that I need. My site is built with so many different pieces, it's quite hard to visualize how it all fits together. So I'm gonna show you the basic flow when I push a commit to GitHub and when the site builds and deploys. Alright, so everything starts here in the Netlify dashboard. So on my website, it's listening for the repository, and whenever I push a new commit, it's gonna pull it and start the building process. It's gonna use this command to build it. Okay, so the magic happens here in Next.js. In my pages folders, let's look at the index page for example. At the bottom, I have this method called getStaticProps. And what it does, it fetches data from Prismic and then builds the page. Now I can show you what the Prismic dashboard looks like. So this is my landing page. I have put 2 sections here, one for the content and one for the SEO. So all of the data is built using these fields. All the images, the titles, all of them are editable here. And the Next.js is gonna fetch this data through an API, and it's gonna get a JSON that I'm gonna parse and show on the page. And all of this happens during the build time. So when you actually visit the site, it does no data fetching. All of the pages are static, so it's super fast. Also, one of my favorite features of Prismic is their image optimization. They are partnered with this company called Imgix. And what they allow you to do is edit images through editing some URL parameters. Let me show you how it works. So this is one of the images I use on my site, and it's loaded through this URL. And if you look at the end, we can see this W equals 900. That's the width of the image. So if I want a smaller image, I can just change this parameter and it's gonna download the smaller image. Let's try 200 for example, yeah. And none of these are pre-built, it's changing the image whenever I fetch for it. The amazing thing about this is I don't have to waste any time building my own image manipulation code. I can just use the pre-built by Prismic, and it saves so much time. I use these different image sizes to always show the most optimal image based on the screen size. This way I can save a lot of bandwidth. The reason why I chose Netlify as my hosting company is because they provide other services other than hosting. One of them is forms. What forms allows me to do is process form submissions without writing any backend code. I can show you how this works. So I'm using the forms in my contact form. So if I do some test here and I send the contact, then I go to my Netlify forms and I refresh the page. We can see we have a new form submission. Whenever I receive a form submission, two things happen. First, I get a notification email that somebody has submitted a form. Second thing is, Netlify sends a webhook to Zapier. If you're not familiar with Zapier, it's a no-code automation platform. And what I do in Zapier is whenever there's a new form submission, I'm gonna send an email to the sender to notify that we have received their message. Now, why am I using Zapier? As a programmer, I could code this myself, but the truth is there is no easier or faster way to do this other than using Zapier. A lot of programmers have this ego that they wanna do everything themselves, even if it takes longer and the results are not so good. If you can get over this ego, you will notice you become a lot more productive. Alright, that's pretty much all I have to say about this site. Hope you guys enjoy this. I don't know if you enjoy these kind of videos, please let me know in the comments. And if you guys want to know more about how I built this site, I can make a tutorial on how to create any kind of blog or agency website.